liquid dessert.
Liquid dessert.
Liquid Gold, a podcast all about beverage on the We Own This Town network. Wine, whiskey, well tequila, and everything in between.
We're back on Liquid Gold, and it's a very special holiday episode, as we've had many over the years, but we've never quite covered this subsection of Americana and these very special, often ice cream flavored, ice cream flecked, or just heavy cream addled, I guess you could say, dessert drinks that we're going to talk about. We're talking about today the Wisconsin Supper Club and the drinks specifically of the Wisconsin Supper Club. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night. My name's Mike Wolf, your host today, along with...
I'm Kenneth Dedman.
Kenneth, how are you today?
I'm great. Great. It's good to see you.
Great to see you. How often, let me ask you, how often are you making, say, a Brandy Alexander, a Grasshopper, a Pink Squirrel, which I know is probably hardly at all?
Last night I worked a private party, and they were all folks from Michigan and Wisconsin.
Oh, that's perfect.
I thought I was... That's
fresh on your mind.
No, that's how I know that we live in like some sort of like Matrix or some shit, because like there were like 10 folks, and they were all ordering like... we're from Wisconsin. We want a freaking, like our kind of old fashioned. Luckily, I was hip to it. I made it wrong to start.
Okay, you made some Brandy Old Fashions for him?
Yeah, I did.
Which is what we're drinking right now.
I knew to make them exactly like this. The ones that we're drinking right now are exactly how I started making them. Mm-hmm. And they kept on correcting me. But they were cool. It was all cool because it was like they were all defense contract people.
Huh. They're always ending up in that room at Husk, aren't they?
It's weird, man. Like
people who run the world.
They were all like young, and they were cool. They're just like they wanted their Brandy Old Fashions like a lot sweeter, sweeter. I kept on making them more and more sweet. This one, and all different manners of sweet. This one dude was taking like an entire ounce of simple syrup.
Wow,
it was blowing me away.
We're using like Copper and Kings. What kind of brandy were you using?
Laird's Apple.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Were they pissed about that?
No.
Oh, they were into it. Okay.
No, they were into it. They were doing a murder mystery dinner, and it's the first time I'd experienced anything like that.
Well, so yeah, we have an authority on the subject, and she's made us some lovely Brandy Old Fashioned, Wisconsin style Old Fashions. Mm-hmm. We have Rachel Ramirez. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
Rachel is our beverage lead at Nelson's Brier Distillery and has been there for a really long time, making all kinds of beautiful beverages and frozen old fashions. That's one of your big ones.
That is the specialty. The frozen drinks is a big hit. Cold fashions are on the menu every day.
The cold fashion. So how many gallons do you think you've made? It's in the hundreds of thousands,
goodness.
Probably.
Maybe not hundreds of thousands, but we've got to be up in the thousands by now.
Yeah, well, come see Rachel. Come see us at Nelson's Brier. She's making some amazing drinks over there. What's one that you just recently put on the menu that you're excited about? Because there's been a handful of new ones recently.
Ooh,
Very
yeah,
seasonal.
we've been moving our seasonal ones onto some of our fall and winter drinks. Mm-hmm. One that I am really loving right now is called Lost in New York, and it is our festive New York sour. So instead of a classic red wine float, we did a mulled wine to mix in with the drink, and it just kind of brings all of those fun Christmas spices into the mix.
Yeah, it's really good. But you made for us some Brandy Old Fashions. Mm-hmm. You've got family from Wisconsin. You're from the upper Midwest.
Yeah, I grew up in northern Illinois, but a lot of my family is in Wisconsin.
Where in northern Illinois?
I grew up in Dixon, about 2 hours west of Chicago.
Okay. Is that near my parents lived in Peoria. Is that
north
your
of
ballpark?
Peoria? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know where like Rockford?
I know that name.
Yeah, closer to there.
Okay.
But yeah, about an hour and a half south of Wisconsin. So always went there for family reunions and gatherings. And the Brandy Old Fashioned is kind of the the drink staple for the adults.
That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us how you made this one today. This is good. This is like a party in a glass.
Yeah.
So we used the Nelson's Green Brier Distillery brandy,
Nice.
which was newly created for the bar program, which is fun after many years of just focusing on whiskey, getting to play with some other spirits as well.
For sure.
But this, we started off muddling orange, cherry, Angostura bitters, added in some of the syrup from the Luxardo cherries,
Nice.
and added the brandy, stirred all of that together, and then we did a sour variation. So
Okay.
you get a choice with your Brandy Old Fashions.
Okay.
It can be made sweet, sour, or press would be another variation. Sweet, you're topping that with 7-Up.
Okay.
Sour, which is what we're sipping on here, we would top that with Squirt.
Oh, love that.
It's kind of a fun one.
We're big fans of
Squirt's
Squirt.
great.
Right?
Yeah, big fans of Squirt on the show here. That's how we make our palomas.
See, that would be more of my go-to cocktail with the with that particular soda, but it is fun in this. And you can also do press, which would be like a 50-50 mix of 7-Up and just regular soda water.
Oh, wow. So that just like thins it out, makes it a little cleaner, a little lighter, maybe not as sweet.
Kind of makes it a little more of like a, well, I guess all of these would be a little more of like a daytime sipper, call it like more of like your porch pounder.
Okay, like you're grilling, do the
Yeah.
press. Okay, that sounds great. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thank you for making these, Rachel.
Yeah.
Really tasty. Yeah. And we have the red Solo cup, which
I said
you
that
told me
was,
that's authentic, right?
I said that's totally a thing. So, if you're up at, big family gatherings, you don't want to be washing dishes, just drink your old fashions out of a red Solo cup.
So getting into a little bit here about the supper club and why this is such a big deal. Up in the Midwest, they still have all these restaurants that are called supper clubs. There's a whole culture around it. There's often entertainment. There's a band. People will dance. What's cool for our in our world here at Liquid Gold is so much of the supper club culture begins and ends at the bar. So I love that about it. But there's a really cool documentary, if you want to learn more about this, called Old Fashioned. And it's all about the history of the Wisconsin Supper Club. So you can find that online. So look out for that. It's called Old Fashioned. And there's been some cool stories about the in interviews with the director there. And I'm just going to throw it to her quote about like what is exactly a supper club. She said, usually an independently owned restaurant, usually in a rural location, that is only open for supper, and the menu is very limited. It's mostly surf and turf, and the food is mainly homemade. It's usually a destination type of restaurant, and when you go to the supper club to have the experience, what she talks about here is that it's an experience. You're there for the evening. Sometimes there'll be Green Bay Packer decor around, and a lot of them have like a log cabin feel and kind of a Northwoodsy kind of feel, which is interesting because I worked at a place. My first job in restaurants, if you don't count the Snack Shack, which I would get in the weeds at the Snack Shack, but one of my first jobs was at a steakhouse called the Northwoods Inn. And it was throw your peanut shells on the floor, very supper club, sizzling steaks on hot cast iron platters, a soup course, a salad course, not one or the other. Like we talked about that. That's a big one. And then we would have like fried shrimp. So it kind of had that Northwoods vibe. One of the original owners was from way up north, I think in Minnesota. Can you tell me about the relish tray?
Yeah, that is something that is, I would say, fallen a little more out of vogue in recent years. That's replaced a little more with like a salad bar
Okay.
as part of a course. But the relish tray would be like an appetizer before the actual appetizers.
Gotcha.
So you're getting like your vegetables, they can be fresh or pickled, different dips, sauces, things like that.
Creamy cucumber dip. That's one. Pickled herring sometimes.
Yep.
Pickled asparagus. Sometimes a house like liver pate, I guess is
All about
is part
that,
of
yeah.
some of it. That sounds amazing. And then which we're going to talk about in a little while. The really cool way to finish off a supper club experience is with not necessarily dessert all the time, but like with a dessert drink.
Liquid dessert.
Liquid dessert. So that would be our Brandy Alexanders, the Grasshopper, and the Pink Squirrel. We're going to talk about all those today, along with this Brandy Old Fashioned. I think it's amazing that we're calling one with squirt sour.
Oh, I know.
Because squirt has a lot of sugar. So what does kind of the supper club culture and everything like mean to your family? It's like still a thing that they go out and do? Is it still like a thing?
I mean, I think the idea of supper club in general is just this like community gathering. I mean, that's more of like, it's more the feel of it than anything else. You're not just going to a restaurant. You are going to a destination and you're spending the whole evening there, and you will probably see other members of the community in there. So it's kind of just that really nice, all-inclusive community feel. Like I grew up in a home that really prioritized we sit down to dinner every day. Like that is a really crucial part of the day. And I think that's something that, especially in our world now, there's just so much disconnect.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why these supper clubs are still in existence. It's not something that's seen like super prevalent across the country, but there's still like 250, I think, just in Wisconsin.
Wow.
And there's other,
that's good.
and there's
You brought
other
the
areas.
facts.
There's other restaurants like that in other states. They just might not call themselves supper clubs.
So I watched a little bit of that Old Fashioned supper club movie, and I think what's amazing about a lot of these places, they look like straight out of the 40s and 50s with the decor, the old neon sign, but they also look really well kept up, and like you can tell they're big pillars in the community because like they haven't decayed or anything. They're still super nice places with like nice bars. Some of them have like open dance floors and stages and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think that like independently owned is also like key there as well. Like these are family establishments that people are really taking care of, and you also see that sometimes in like the hours open too. Like, you know, if somebody wants to go on vacation, well, all right, we're going to close this down for a week.
yeah,
So cool.
that's cool. In getting back to the Brandy Old Fashioned, I know that the way a lot of it started was just cheap, because you had cheap brandy around. In order to make the brandy like taste a little bit better, they just started adding things to it to make it not necessarily the old fashioned that people were used to, which was like bitters, a little bit of sugar, and whatever you're drinking. The brandy had like quite a bite to it, and so that's why they started adding like the fruit and the sugar and soda water, and just like to make it more palatable. And then as the brandy got better, we talked about, what was it, Corbel at the World's Fair?
Yeah, so there's two different theories surrounding why this is so popular. One of them is that Corbel had a showing at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. And so the German immigrants in Wisconsin were coming down to that fair, and they're tasting this brandy, and they're like, oh my God, what is this? We want to drink all of this.
Yeah.
And even today, Wisconsin accounts for like half of Corbel's sales or something.
Wow.
Like something crazy like that.
That's amazing.
But the other theory that was dug up was that post-World War II, you know, there's not a whole lot of good whiskey. Grain is being used for other purposes. So Wisconsin state distributors had brought in some like crazy amount of like, I want to say like upwards of 30,000 cases of Christian Brothers brandy into Wisconsin. So then they had a choice of, well, do we drink bad whiskey or good brandy?
Okay.
And so that's how that started to catch on.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
They're currently tongue-in-cheek bill in the Wisconsin state
passed.
It did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It made it the official cocktail.
Yeah.
Mid-November, it officially became, the official cocktail of Wisconsin.
That's why we had to do this. It's now official, passed into law. Like, they don't have better things to do. They're like, Brandy Old Fashioned? Yeah, fit it in.
You know what?
Yeah,
it's been like decades of this. Why don't we just put it into...
They're probably not banning as many books up there, though, right?
Yeah, right?
But totally, the World War II theory, I think, is probably like the correct one. Historically, the whole United States was drinking them that way during the war, and then as whiskey was production caught up, Wisconsin was the only area that just stuck with it. That's so.
They're just gonna dig their heels in.
It's a no-brainer to make it the official state cocktail. No-brainer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So
when we so Kuchny and Keller opened, which was a very Wisconsin forward restaurant. It was German, Polish. It was Aaron originally from City House, who now does Bill's Sandwich Palace, which is incredible. If you haven't checked that out in Nashville, check that out. The sandwiches are
so good.
Amazing. They're right there off 16th in East Nashville. Aaron's super talented, but he brought a really amazing like Wisconsin vibe to that restaurant, and it was really special, very beer centric. They had a tap, so we had like 25 taps on the wall with all these cool beers they were getting from all over. They were working with Rhizome and getting amazing beers brought in, and then if you turn the corner, there was one tap that had a red curtain, and like you'd have to pull the curtain back when we were open and go over to this one and pull it and pour a beer. What beer do you think that was?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
The champagne
Is that
beers.
Beautiful? I was so hoping that was what you would say.
Probably would have been New Glarus if they could have gotten it, but
well, yeah.
And I think they did get some of that for the events. But what we had on tap was a Brandy Old Fashioned.
Nice.
That they made in the Wisconsin style, but they were making like, lemon peel cordials, lime peel cordials, making different orange stuff, throwing that in there, throwing the cherry juice in. So they were making a version that you could like tap, and we went through quite a lot of it.
What did they do for garnishes? We really haven't touched on that yet.
So for garnish, I think we just did orange and cherry. So talk to me about the garnish.
Yeah, which is what I put in ours today. We did a little orange and cherry flag. But we can also get kind of crazy with this.
Okay, let's go there.
This is not something that I've ever actually seen happen, but I keep reading recipes for these old fashions to be garnished with olives, pickled onions.
Whoa.
Pickled Brussels sprouts has popped up. I dug into this when I had a guest a few years back come into the bar. I will never forget like how she said this. She goes, "Oh, well, I just prefer my whiskey sours to be more like old fashions because I like olives." And I stopped. I stopped what I was doing. I'm like, okay, I got to go serve this like party of six over here. But then I'm going to come back and we're going to dissect that sentence. Like we're going to diagram it on a board. We're going to figure out what on earth you're talking about.
Cite what where did you
apparently,
learn that?
apparently that's a thing.
Wow.
And then I started reading more. Like I said, I've never actually seen that happen, but
So
we
the
can
garnish,
get a little crazy with the garnish.
man, that is wild.
Basically, just take your bloody garnishes and put them on an old fashioned, I guess.
Yeah, imagine what that does to your brain.
Right. So I know it's supposed to be limited, but we're also like Americans, so we gotta like think of a million things too.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna have all the courses, and
so
you're gonna want to bring a doggy bag.
I found a really good rundown of 40 things that you might find at various supper clubs.
Beautiful.
All right, and number 1, Brandy Old Fashioned, sweet. That's what they'd note that it's sweet. And they have a recipe for a frozen Brandy Old Fashioned, which I imagine you've done at some point, or will in the future.
Well, now I just want to like haul one of our machines up there and be like, let's do a taste off.
We should also mention that we're in the process of convincing our chef to do a supper club night so we can make all these ice cream
pop-up,
drinks.
yeah.
So stay tuned for that. Beef steaks with blue cheese. That's a big one. Sometimes they would put croutons or tater tots on top or something. Wow, that's crazy. Wedge salad, classic. Wedge salad with blue cheese. Garlic butter steak. So you make like a steak, put some butter, and I love that there's like 3 steak things.
Oh yeah. I'm also
list of
surprised
40.
that we're calling out the blue cheese dressing though, and not ranch.
Okay. Could be an option for one of them. Shrimp cocktail. That's a big one. Classic French onion soup. The broiled lobster tail. See that one in a lot of supper club stuff. The beef tenderloin with mushroom sauce. Caesar salad.
Yeah.
The classic creme brulee. Some horseradish deviled eggs. Lemon batter fish. Chocolate lava cake. Salt encrusted prime rib. Lemon garlic mushrooms. Merlot. Filet mignon. Interesting. Quick cream of mushroom. Cream of mushroom
two
soup.
Things or the Merlots going with?
Those are two things together.
Merlot.
Okay.
Also,
It's a Merlot filet.
Just a course of Merlot. It's fine.
The Grasshopper, which we're going to get into. The cast iron skillet steak. Love that. Mashed red potatoes, specifically the red. Traditional cheesecake. Onion rings. Savory stuffed pork chops. Basil buttered steaks with roasted potato. Grilled lamb with mint pepper jelly. That's classic mid-century Americana. Bloody Marys, I guess, are part of some like more morning-centric gatherings. Honeyed walleye. Stuffed mushrooms. Grilled lobster tail. More crusted steaks. Spice crusted steak with cherry sauce. Woo! That ties into the Brandy Old Fashioned nicely. Grilled salmon fillet. Brandy slush for the hot Wisconsin summer supper clubs. Amazing.
I would call that more
battered
of a
shrimp.
Christmas drink for me.
Yeah.
So that was...
Okay.
That's not a drink that I've ever had in a bar or a restaurant, but my grandmother would make it every holiday season. And very, very delicious. It's really just your brandy, lemon, orange. There's tea in there. I think she usually used green tea for that. But you put it in a big ice cream bucket. So then you're just scooping it out into probably red Solo cups and topping it with 7-Up.
Amazing.
It's quite delicious.
That sounds pretty good.
wowza.
Let's talk about some of these dessert drinks. So the idea is that you would have relish tray, you'd have maybe the past apps and stuff. You would be having a Brandy Old Fashioned to start, and then you might sit down to dinner and have like a wedge salad and then a soup course. Then you're going to get into the steak, maybe the surf and turf. And then at dessert, it's time to go back to the bar. And that's where you're going to have a Brandy Alexander, maybe a Grasshopper, maybe a Pink Squirrel. We're going to get into these three drinks because these are really, really interesting. And now they are sweet, but they're super delicious. So Brandy Alexander, ever had one at the Peabody, Kenneth? Do you know the story of the Peabody and the...
No.
It's just like their signature cocktail in that main lobby where the ducks come through twice a day.
I've always beeline to the room. I've never had a drink or dinner like actually in the hotel.
They're pretty delicious there. So if you need one here in the state of Tennessee, at the Peabody in Memphis. So this was a popular cocktail back in the 60s and 70s. It's basically just a mixture of brandy, creme de cacao, and cream or ice cream. And it goes back to 1916. There's a book, Recipes for Mixed Drinks, by Hugo Enslin. According to historian Barry Popick, this drink comes from the Hotel Rector, which was one of the premier pre-prohibition lobster joints in New York City. There was a bartender there named Troy Alexander who concocted this drink that they were going to serve. They needed a white drink to serve at a dinner which was celebrating Phoebe Snow. Not Phoebe Snow the singer. Phoebe Snow was a fictitious character which was used in an advertising campaign for some railroads, the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroads. And the company wanted to get the message across that it powered its locomotives with anthracite, which sounds not good. But they powered their locomotives with anthracite, which was a clean-burning variety of coal. The ads emphasized that by showing Miss Snow traveling while wearing a snow-white dress. So he created this drink that was gin, creme de cacao, and cream. Gin was super popular at the time. And then started making it with brandy. It started to take off. They would call it the Alexander No. 2. And then later it just became so popular that the Brandy Alexander just became like the Alexander. If you want to make a professional, relatively strong version of this, that they might not be going this strong at the supper clubs, but you could do 1.5 ounces of brandy, an ounce or so of creme de cacao, and 1 ounce of cream. You could blend that up. You could shake that up, strain it into a cocktail glass. You could also blend it, put it in a coupe, and then you garnish that with freshly grated nutmeg. So we're gonna make these with some local soft serve. I'm gonna grab the brandy and the nutmeg real quick. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always made it with an egg white.
So I saw that as a variation. I've never made it that way. I first had it just as a blended, like, ice cream drink.
Never made it with ice cream.
So I used to work at, my first job out of college was in a dinner theater. And they would make all of these dessert drinks, the Brandy Alexander, the Grasshopper, and the Pink
And you were
Squirrel.
making drinks, or you were dinner theater?
I was not. I was a singing, dancing waitress at that time.
Oh, that's sick.
I'm going to say dancing in finger quotes, because that was never my strong point.
Were you dancing like on the bar?
So we would
Clogging?
So
were you clogging?
I should have clogged. So we would actually do a little pre-show reviews, like the whole performing wait staff. We'd have our own like 15-minute show before the show that people actually wanted to come see.
Yeah, I get it. It's like, welcome.
Exactly.
Welcome. It's time to eat your dinner.
Uh-huh.
Very good, Kenneth. Did you write that? Very good.
No, I'm
start
just
our
like
own dinner
totally
theater here in
imagining
time.
like I got a song and dance like I just designed a restaurant in my head with staff running up and down the aisles singing.
I mean,
Amazing.
listen, it's a dying breed. We need more dinner theaters. This one, they're still in business, I believe, but they had been operating for well over 30 years at this point.
I worked there was this restaurant in Franklin, Tennessee, in some strip mall, like unassuming sort of thing, that apparently did kind of that thing, and they hired me to do a really high end wedding, because they were catering that wedding, and the staff had like all this stuff prepared, and like I was the only employee or the person there working the wedding that was not in the know of what they do, and like. Yeah, they totally did this whole thing where they were like kind of jogging like in unison in two different groups around the wedding party, and like getting everyone clapping, you know, like
It's like being caught in a flash mob and you don't know what's going on.
and they all turned to me and they're like, "Come on!" And I'm like, "No."
Oh my god!
So I just like kind of just sunk down behind the bar until they're like, I don't know what it was, but it was a thing. Until that thing was over. Imagine like, you have like a dance floor and no one's dancing. So you hire people to go onto the dance floor until
the party
people
started,
are dancing.
yeah.
Somewhat like that.
You could see that vibe.
These awkward moments, like I find my way into them easy.
I feel like when you work behind a bar, it just kind of like comes to you though.
All right, we have our Brandy Alexanders. I put those together here on the table as best I could, and
Good job, Mike.
the
They look
key is
beautiful.
shaving the nutmeg on top. And I go back to your when we were talking about grating cinnamon like on a drink on a recent pod, maybe the last one or the one before you. It stuck in my head because you were like, remember, you're not feeding a family with the cinnamon. And so don't overgrate, right? You don't want to overgrate.
No,
with nutmeg, you can, or with eggnog and nutmeg, you can grate a fair amount. But I loved that you're not feeding your family.
Yeah. I mean, like it honestly, like it's got a lot of flavor. Like sometimes you don't even.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Try the brandy,
Really?
the Brandy Alexander. So our post dinner drink. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
See, and that's probably stronger than they would be at the supper club. But you can see that the alcohol can hide. Mm-hmm. You put a little creme de cacao and some cream or ice cream in there,
Oh yeah.
and that brandy's going to like fade off into the sunset in a really nice way.
That's some quality soft serve we got here.
Only the finest.
Yeah, cream's kind of like a booze-proof vest or something like that.
Booze-proof vest. That's good. We've got to give a shout to Tempest Fugit. They're not sponsoring or anything, but they did do considerable work to revive some of these Wisconsin Supper Club liqueurs that you can really, before this, you could really only find them in the like the bottom shelf of the liqueur section. Really cheap and really not good. A lot of artificial sweeteners. So they took the liberties to work really hard on making creme de menthe, creme de noyau, creme de cacao. And they've also got a banana one. So shout out to them. That's what we're using for these. And they make delicious dessert drinks. So this would be great for your holiday cocktail soiree. Make up some Brandy Alexanders. And it's super easy because it's not that many ingredients and not that hard to make. What do you love about the Brandy Alexander, Kenneth?
I wasn't prepared for that question, Mike. I like it. This is probably, I've made more than I've drinking. Mm-hmm. This is probably like the fourth one I've had in my life.
Yeah, super good. How many have you made many of these in your time, Rachel?
Kind of like Kenneth, I've probably made more than I've consumed.
Yeah.
So it's not something that like we get a ton of requests for, but I feel around this time of year it does come up.
Yeah. So how did you get into the beverage world and everything, and how? So we talked about the dinner theater, and you got your start there. But had you always like had a passion for beverages and cocktails and stuff, or what was the jumping off point for you?
No, I fell into it a little more when we finally moved to Nashville. So we were in Chicago before that for a long time, and I worked in theater, mostly focusing on directing, new work development, producing. None of those things make you money. So I always had a day job in hospitality like you do. Mm-hmm. At that time, though, I was doing mostly admin work for hospitality companies. So I started learning a little bit there. That's also how I learned that the Old Fashioned was typically made with whiskey and not brandy.
Oh, yeah.
Embarrassing story, but I was making menu formatting, and I saw that the Old Fashioned was listed with bourbon, and I was like, go to the beverage director. Hey, is this right? Is this a thing? 23-year-old Rachel didn't know.
Wow. Yeah.
Thankfully, he was just like, no, that's a thing. Go learn about it. And so when we eventually moved to Nashville, I kind of said, I never want to sit behind a desk again. And so far, haven't done that a whole lot.
Nice.
Started serving, and I was serving actually at Pinewood Social and working under Matt Tocco.
Yeah.
And started learning a lot from that program. And even the idea then of actually bartending hadn't really like come across my mind as an option. And one of my managers was like, hey, you're clearly kind of bored. Do you want to try this? And at first I was like, no, dude, I'm way too clumsy to even like attempt this. I make a mess of everything. And then like 3 days later, I was like, you know what? Let's try.
Nice.
Let's try it. And yeah, just kind of kept learning and working on it from there.
Very cool. What would you say is like your drink in terms of like your favorite drink, and something you might make at home, or something that you look forward to, even if it's just crushing margs?
Either a Manhattan or a martini.
Yeah.
Depends on which spirit I'm in the mood for, but definitely something boozy and stirred. But I would say most often at home, 50-50 martini.
Can't beat that. Mm-hmm. Well, you'll have to check out our martini episode. It was our last episode.
You fancy a martini?
Yeah, Jeremiah, right?
Yeah. Anyone who didn't check that out, head over to liquidgold.show and check out all the old episodes from the archives, tons of recipes, etc.
I am fascinated to try this. I feel like I've probably only had like one of these ever.
So the Pink Squirrel, super easy to make, but you do have to do some shopping probably, because you got to buy the creme de nouveau, which is really hard to find unless you do find the Tempest Fugit version. If you're having a hard time finding it, you can sub. People have subbed equal parts of amaretto and grenadine, which sounds even sweeter than what this is.
Whatever.
It would just be like a real hipster bar to do like a Pepto-Bismol version, right? Or is that even like so wild? It would have to be like a dive bar.
Forget the war movie where the guy was like dumping like whiskey into a glass on the rocks and then topping it with
Pepto-Bismol. Pink Squirrel number 2.
That does feel like a very like dive bar move though. Like at some point there'll be one that just like, instead of grabbing a shot of Fernet or like an Underberg, you just
have it for you.
Just get like
hey,
a little like
Harry's throwing up again.
Sidecar of Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, he needs to chill out for a minute. Get him some Pepto-Bismol.
All right.
Oh, it's so pink and pretty. Look at that.
So what's interesting too about this creme de nouveau, though it's flavored like almonds. Tastes like almond. Yeah, let's cheers. Cheers to you.
Smells like grandma lotion.
Woo.
Yum.
We're drinking Pink Squirrels, guys. Wow. Though it tastes like almonds, the Noyau's flavored with the pits of apricots, peaches, plums, and other stone fruits. Because Noyau's French for stone or kernel. So you can sub like a tiny amount. I just wouldn't go heavy on amaretto. And the easy recipe for the Pink Squirrel is 1 part creme de Noyau, 1 part creme de cacao, 1 part cream or ice cream. Blend or shake. Serve in a coupe, garnish with the nutmeg. So super easy. You can go really light on it. You could even do like 1/2 ounce creme de Noyau, 1/2 ounce creme de cacao, 1 ounce cream, or even 1.5 ounce cream. You can make these really light. And I think that in my research, that was something that I found with a lot of them is people like after dinner that maybe they want to have a couple of these ice cream drinks. So they're not like huge. They're not super boozy. And I imagine some like go light on dinner and just crush like a bunch of these at the end. There's probably a few of those. Aunt Karen
is way better than a White Russian. Way better.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I'll be right back.
So what I think is really cool about the Pink Squirrel, origin-wise, because we got to hit that quickly. I think it's one of these like dessert drinks that was actually created in Wisconsin. So the Pink Squirrel credited to Brian Sharp at Bryant's Cocktail Lounge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 1941. The original recipe called for ice cream rather than cream, and indeed the Pink Squirrel may have started life as a milkshake spiked with spirits prior to repeal. Considering it unnecessary in the 1960s, Bryant's second owner, Pat Malmberg, removed the creme de cacao from the original recipe. And this is how Bryant's makes their Pink Squirrels to this day. So they do at Bryant's, I guess they just do the creme de Noyau and the ice cream. Heavy double cream or ice cream. Garnish it with nutmeg, their version. And some people do garnish it with some shaved chocolate. The Pink Squirrel and the Grasshopper, which we're going to get into here. But that's the Pink Squirrel. Always thought it would be a great shots episode, but now that we're covering all of the drinks of the Wisconsin Supper Club today, we had to do it. So I can't believe I'm looking at Kenneth Dedman, and he's drinking a Pink Squirrel. Sorry I forced a Pink Squirrel on you.
No, it's
pretty
good.
damn
He doesn't
good.
seem too mad about it. This is pretty tasty.
Pretty crushable. Cheers. Now, does anybody in your family, like your grandpas, grandmas,
Pink squirrels? No.
Pink squirrels? No.
No, this is one that
What about your
I would
aunts
say
and
is
uncles?
probably like the. No, I don't think so. This is one that you just don't see a whole lot, and I think just because of you got to put a little more effort into the liqueur shopping.
Yep.
To find that.
Definitely do. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. So I'm going to whip up some grasshoppers real quick.
How you doing on your old fashioned over there?
Oh, it's toast.
Is it good?
Oh, no. Yeah, my parents lived up there in Peoria. It seemed like, have you ever been? Mm-hmm. It seemed like it had all these elements of a happening town, but like...
But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
I feel like that's a lot of Midwest towns. I mean, when I left home, like there really wasn't much of anything going on. It's really interesting to visit back now because so many people, like a lot of people that I know, like that I graduated with, have moved back and have started opening up businesses there.
Oh, that's cool.
So now, like the old like downtown, which when I left had nothing, just a few bars and like banks. But now there's different like boutiques and shops, and they like revitalized the entire riverfront. And it's
that's what I
really
saw
pretty.
in Peoria Heights, or like, which is like kind of close to the river. Mm-hmm. This was about 10 years ago, but kind of had like an East Nashville 15 years ago vibe to it. Like Richard Pryor's from Peoria.
Really?
He's my fave.
I'll just do a little bit.
Oh, we're going very light on the nutmeg on this one.
Yeah, so nutmeg isn't typically a Grasshopper thing. Usually it's just fresh mint, but I think we can stick with the beautiful nutmeg here, the freshly grated. All right, the Grasshopper, my favorite of the Wisconsin supper.
If you're having multiple drinks that are garnished with nutmeg, you can go lighter and lighter because you can taste nutmeg for hours, I believe.
Cheers.
Thanks for the Grasshopper, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That's dynamite.
That's good.
Wowza.
So, Liquid Gold alum and veteran Kevin King. Kevin King and I made the pilgrimage to Two Jacques in New Orleans. And if you want an amazing Grasshopper, it is supposedly, I know a lot of places probably claim to be the birthplace of the Grasshopper, but Two Jacques, I believe, is the generally accepted place that invented the Grasshopper. Of course, New Orleans. And Kevin and I went there on a hot day, mid-July, summer of like 2016 or something. And we crushed 2 in succession each. It was like 100 degrees out. And they were blending these ice cream drinks. And they were just completely lime green and amazing, topped with a little whipped cream, shaved chocolate. Incredible. So if you want an amazing Grasshopper, head to Two Jacques. You guys make many Grasshoppers? Probably not, right? It's kind of like, it's a little bit lost to time.
In a blue moon, yeah. Maybe one a year.
We had Jeremiah on recently, and he ran the Green Hour here, Absinthe Bar, and they had probably their most popular drink was a Grasshopper riff with absinthe. So respect to them for they I think they still do their absinthe Grasshopper. But yeah, it was bartender Paul Gustings who returned to New Orleans' iconic Two Jacques, where he brought his personal recipe for the Grasshopper, and which has long been associated with that bar. You can pre-batch it and refrigerate it. That's one way you could do it. And you can also add. Oh, maybe we need to do that. You can add a little bit of brandy to it. That's a nice. If you want to go pro boozy mix here, and this serves 2 people. 2 ounces white creme de cacao, 1 ounce dark creme de cacao, 1 ounce green creme de menthe, ½ ounce white creme de menthe, 1/4 ounce brandy, 4 3/4 ounces heavy cream or ice cream. Combine all ingredients in a mixing tin or a blender. Dry shake without ice, strain into a champagne flute. And if you're going to shake it without ice, you do want to pre-batch and refrigerate that. Otherwise, you can shake with some ice or blend. And I think flute is how you see the Grasshopper traditionally. Flute's a really nice presentation. It's typically green. Ours are not quite as green because the really nice creme de menthe that Tempest Fugit has is white, but has a lot of really fresh mint notes. So this is probably, after a big dinner at the supper club, this is what I'm going with.
It's refreshing.
So refreshing.
Have you ever made one with Brancamenta?
Oh, man. We made...
Makes sense.
Yeah.
At Holland House, around the holidays one year, we were making like blizzards, essentially, with Oreos and ice cream and Brancamenta. And we had one blender that was way at the back of the place. So, like, if anybody wanted a blender drink, you would have to, like, leave the bar, take stuff, go to the back bar, which is back in the corner.
Yep.
And there was a blender back there because we didn't like the noise being up front. And we would make blender drinks with ice cream, with Brancamenta.
That sounds delicious.
That sounds incredible. So that's a great call. Good call out, because I wasn't going to mention Brancamenta. I totally forgot about that, but that would be amazing in a Grasshopper.
It's pretty delicious. It just adds a whole other dimension to it.
That's a good one.
But now that you said Oreo, I really want to like crush up some Oreos on top of this thing.
Yeah, you could do a little Oreo rim maybe. There's a lot of holiday options you could do. All right, you want to do a little booze news?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Fucking facial recognition, some bullshit.
And the time has come. Chow, chow, chow.
Welcome.
Booze news with Kenneth Deadman.
All the news that's fit to drink.
What's booze-worthy out there, Kenneth?
I'll tell you what ain't. White Claw is launching a 0% alcohol seltzer. It's fucking stupid.
Do they still drink in there?
But Guy Fieri, though, is launching a alcoholic seltzer called Flavortown, of course.
Oh, wow, of course. Does it taste like donkey sauce or something like that?
I don't know. You know, like it's like a cranberry orange malt. What's the cocktail? Like a breeze? It's like
The Bay
vodka,
Breeze?
orange and cranberry. What's that?
Sounds
What do you
about
call
right.
that?
Bay Breeze?
I
Okay.
think that's a Bay Breeze.
What's the other one?
Sea
the
Breeze?
and that's the grapefruit one.
I think so.
I never get those right. Anyway, Guy
Our
Fieri's got one of
judges
those.
say Bay Breeze is like Cape Cod with pineapple juice, so cranberry vodka, pineapple.
Pineapple.
That's
Okay.
That's
Go through them all.
That's the Bay Breeze,
OJ, grapefruit, and pineapple.
and then
They're all like Panama City cocktails
for sure
Panama
Cape
City
Cod,
in-
Panama City.
in
The
'87.
Sea Breeze is the cranberry and grapefruit. That's the Sea Breeze.
Okay.
Oh, this is cool. Dale DeGroff has his breeze. Has his own breeze that he calls the Bahia Breeze. Missing link cocktail from Dale DeGroff. Rum, pineapple juice, cranberry juice. There you go.
Is that,
That's three breezes.
What a genius. Moving on. Mount Fuji Distillery is celebrating 50 years of Japanese craftsmanship. Either of you ever had Mount Fuji whiskey? Is that excellent? Only Japanese distillery to make single malt style whiskey and American style whiskey and bourbon.
Incredible.
Yeah. They're renowned, Mike, from drawing all their water. This is fun. Yeah. They draw all their water from like ancient volcanic aquifer, but also not uncommon. They claim to use like melted snow from Mount Fuji, which we all use mostly, or at some point. All of the water we use in the United States comes from the continental drift. And guess what's up there? A bunch of snow. Originally opened by like partnership with Kieran Chivas and Seagram's. Independent now. Now, the University of Genoa, Switzerland has designed AI that correctly identifies Bordeaux wine.
Holy shit.
Therefore proving or like beginning the process of scientifically proving terroir using like a base control group of Bordeaux wines from 1990 through 2017. Their machine learning model has correctly identified 100% of all producers of Bordeaux with only like a 5% sample. Pretty nuts. The new tech, which I think like they originally were using like nuclear modeling to verify old Bordeaux's now, which is just like measuring isotopes of nuclear waste that are in the air that are very specific to each year.
Pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome. All right, we'll keep fishing.
Sorry, I'm worthless.
Is it too much? It's too much ice cream, I think.
Exactly. We've had our dinner, our after dinner, and
Yeah, our pre-dinner, our after dinner.
Sticking with wine, the world wine production of 2023 is expected to be almost 10% lower than following years.
Wow.
In some cases,
That's big.
south in the southern hemispheres, almost every wine producer is almost at like 70-year lows. Australia, Chile, to name a few. New Zealand, however, is expecting like a 5% increase in production.
They're picking up the slack.
Something
Is
like
this
that.
climate change or demand?
Totally climate change.
Yeah. Dry and hot in a lot of places.
California has a booming year, as does like I think Austria. They're predicted to have like largest productions. It's like the 80s.
Damn.
It wasn't a big fire season in the U.S.
Yeah, luckily didn't get a ton of the California, Colorado, all that stuff. So.
Unfortunately, Canada burned like a motherfucker.
Canada had some. Yeah, we had the wildfire smoke from Canada down here.
Yep, almost caused a war.
Just like Canadian bacon. Was it Canadian bacon where we?
Oh yeah.
We invade.
What's his name?
Michael Moore directed that.
Oh yeah.
I think so. Before he got into like documentaries.
Before like,
It's
Roger.
It's
and me
really
or something?
funny. Yeah, it's really funny movie. Alan Alda, I think, plays.
Oh, I've never seen that.
It's hilarious. John Candy, I think, is in it.
Yeah. It's a John. Yeah,
It's great.
What was the fucking premise other than just like taking over Canada?
It was us invading Canada, like just kind of on a
What was
whim.
their reason?
A slight of some sort.
I don't guess you got to do much to offend an American enough to
Invade somebody else.
invade someone else.
In a desperate bid to revive his abysmal peacetime approval rating, the President of the United States, played by Alan Alda, agrees to a scheme proposed by corrupt cabinet member Stu Smiley, played by Kevin Pollak, and launches a top-secret propaganda campaign to vilify Canada. As U.S. citizens get caught up in a xenophobic hysteria, a group of residents of Niagara, New York, wielding machine guns, organize a vigilante invasion that could trigger a real war with America's gentle neighbor to the north. Director, Michael Moore.
That's amazing.
Stars
Nice.
John Candy, Alan Alda. Yeah, Rhea Perlman, Rip Torn, Bill Nunn.
Up until like
Come on.
2015, 2016, like that would be regarded as a nice comedy premise. After 2016, it sounds like just like
Shit that
a
could
real,
happen.
A little too close to real.
a real
Yeah.
thing. Holy shit! Maybe again next year too.
Kenneth's caffeine dex is high.
California restaurants are instituting vomit fees for guests that can't handle bottomless brunch.
Wow.
Kaboom! How's that for like limited liability? You could feed them like fucking like rat shit.
I want to institute that.
Make a freaking killing.
Wow.
It's like when you get the charge for like throwing up in an Uber. Everyone should institute that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
For sure.
How many times have you done that?
I'm
How
just
much
saying. Never in an Uber.
is that? I had
Once
a friend.
in an actual cab.
I had a friend, nameless Nashville bartender. This would be about 10 years ago. You know Fireball. So Fireball used to throw like industry parties where they would like promote like like all bartenders in town to come and drink free Fireball at a certain place. This is like it was a while back, but I remember like I had a few friends that went and they were like bugging me like, come on, you gotta come down. I'm like, like who the fuck wants to drink free Fireball all night or even for like 10 minutes?
I got some info on the vomit fee.
Anyway,
There's also a Reddit.
what?
There's also a Reddit for the vomit fee on Uber.
Oh yeah.
It's $150. So
Damn.
you throw up in an Uber, $150.
I would. That doesn't seem like too much if you plan on doing it.
It's kind of a big hit though if you like had a big night at the bars and you're like buying shots for everybody. It's like one of those like you're looking at your credit card statement the next day and you're like, God
Like,
damn.
oh, that's quite the
did
service
what?
charge.
And then Uber's like surge fee, vomit fee. You took a $300 Uber home. Oh man. But hey, be
Well,
safe this holiday season. Take
Drink
the ride.
responsibly.
I took
Drink
a
responsibly. Throw the keys.
I took a
friend.
cab to that Fireball party, right? Mm-hmm. And as we were pulling up on the building,
I took a cab to the Fireball party. It's the start of a really bad situation.
I never got out of the cab. That was the thing. It's like we pulled up on the party, and like we were coming up. This was like a old live venue that's gone now called 12th and Porter. We came up behind the building, and there was like a guy on all fours crawling on the sidewalk, and I was like, oh wow. You go around the corner, and there was like a fist fight, a guy arguing with his girlfriend, all this mayhem.
Pro tip, so if you take a cab to a Fireball party, circle the block.
It was like patient zero of a zombie apocalypse, because like two of my friends came running up. I was getting out and just kind of looking, and like my two friends that were there were running up to the cab, like, get out of here! Like,
Kenneth!
Yeah, I was like, okay, like, let's go back to my place. And then one of them immediately threw up in the yellow cab while my meter was running.
It's like the premise for a public service announcement, like Fireball. Not even once.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
very good. That's great. Good ad read.
Wowza!
Amazing.
Typically a $50 fee in these California restaurants.
$50.
Bottomless mimosas. They're going to get you every time.
That's amazing. Wow. Well done, California. And that's Booze News.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Good stuff as always.
Booze News with Kenneth Dedman.
Rachel, excited about anything coming up? I know we got plenty of holiday drinks rolling.
I'm doing a holiday cocktail class on the 15th. Pretty excited about that. Just all of the...
Awesome.
Festive vibes and kind of a choose your own adventure for holiday cocktail making, kind of providing everybody with a big variety of ingredients and then coaching them through creating their own recipes.
Cool. And that's really something cool you do over there at Nelson's. So check that out at nelsonsgreenbrierdistillery.com. You can find out info on the cocktail classes and all that. You can book those on Talk. There will be plenty more of the cocktail classes. So yeah, come visit us. The bar is open Monday through Sunday. Restaurants Wednesday through Sunday. We do brunch every Sunday from 10 to 3. So yeah, come see us over there. Come have some of Rachel's amazing drinks. Try the secret menu.
Always get the secret menu.
Secret.
Stay thirsty.
So, like, real quick before we shut this down, Mike, I know where you're trying to end this shit, but this Nelson Greenbrier American Brandy, is that available in stores, or do you have to go straight to the source?
I have to go to the distillery.
Limited production right now?
Oh, yeah.
Is that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah. Can only get it there.
You probably made a lot of it, but you're just making everyone go there.
That's a pretty small batch.
They sell it in the store?
Don't sell it in the store.
Yeah. How much did y'all make? Like, y'all made a lot, or you made a little?
Handful of cases.
You're not going to say how many you made?
Nah, I can't tell you that.
It's not a big amount.
I'm sorry, I'd have to kill you. Yeah, I don't know what it was. 20 cases.
So you got to go down.
You got to go down there. We got the Shotzi
Nelson
vodka.
Brothers Greenbrier to taste this brandy.
Yep.
Say it again.
We got the Shotzi vodka, the dry gin. I made a dry vermouth so we can make martinis and 50-50s.
Nice.
We have a vermouth for Manhattans. That's delightful. And we have it tomorrow now. So we've got a lot of really amazing stuff to taste, along with the new rye, all the cask finishes. The Black Brier just came out, so there's a lot going on there.
Badass.
So yeah, we will see you over there. Kenneth will come see you at Husk. Buy the book, Cheer, A Liquid Gold Holiday Drinking Guide. Buy that for your friends, your family. 160 recipes, tons of holiday content, multiple chapters just about this season that we're in right now. Rachel, thanks so much. Rachel Ramirez, lead beverage at at Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making the shout out to your family up in Wisconsin. Hopefully we didn't botch Wisconsin Supper Club.
Do they say that?
Oh, they'll let us know. They'll let us know.
They will let us know. Shout out to Michael Eads and everybody at We Own This Town. Check out all the pods at weownthistown.net. Jessica Hash. And for the logo and Upright T-Rex music for the tunes, we will see you next time.
Later, Tater.
Check us out on Instagram at liquidgold_pod. On the web at liquidgold.show. American.